Well, a coolant leak again. Yeah, also my driver's seat fails. Ass-Wagon on the fuel island. Rusty and more on this episode of
The Clutch Trucker Channel.
Clutch Trucker, filmed before a live and furry studio audience. Yep, that is Rusty, the world-famous meatball dog. Hey YouTube, Clutch Trucker here. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Clutch Trucker Channel. Alright, what is today? Saturday the 17th. Here I am driving in the western part of South Dakota. I should have been all the way through, or most of the way through South Dakota, but had another damn near breakdown incident. Was able to not have to be towed or do a roadside, thank God. But it all stemmed from the water pump I had replaced just a week ago. And I've got a seat issue, we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, after I got loaded up in Glen Rock yesterday, then I'm driving just past Douglas, Wyoming, almost to Orange Junction. Check engine light comes on, shut down engine light comes on, and engine shuts down. You had to pull over on the side, open the hood, coolant leak. Yeah, coolant leak. Gee, Clutch, didn't you just get that water pump replaced so you wouldn't have a coolant leak? Yeah! So I saw exactly where it was coming from. Two little 3-inch hoses that connect to the pipe that goes to the water pump. One of them's leaking. Pissing out coolant. Luckily, I had 2 gallons of coolant with me. I put those in, got down to Orange Junction truck stop. They call it. It's a gas station with a dirt lot for some truck parking. Bought 2 more gallons of coolant. Looked at my options, and remember there is a TA shop at the Hat 6 truck stop in Evansville. Remember, I'd had this done at a TA shop at the Petro Joplin, Missouri. It just seemed a little too much of a coincidence that 1 week after having the water pump replaced, I've got another freaking coolant leak on little pieces of hose and brackets connecting to the water pump that they should have probably replaced. And that ended up being the case. So, made it about 12 miles up the road. All the coolant's gone again. I put in the other 2 gallons I just bought. Made it almost up to I made it to almost to Glen Rock. And let's see. Well, I guess, yeah, I was almost to Glen Rock. I put in those 2 gallons. Yeah, then I decided, okay, I'm trying to make it back to Evansville. It was 50 miles away from where I was, where I had started. And so I stopped in Glen Rock, bought 2 more gallons. Made it within 12 miles of Evansville. All the coolant's gone. Had to refill it again. Made it to the shop at the Hat 6 truck stop, the TA shop there, and checked in. Of course, he says, well, we don't have a mechanic showing up till 4. I'm like, okay, fine. It's like, I don't know, a little 1:45, 2 o'clock, something like that. I had at least limped it all the way there so I didn't have to pay for a tow or do a roadside. And they said, well, do you have your paperwork from when you did it in Joplin? I'm like, yeah, I got that. They called them and they had authorized at least to do a pressure test. I'm like, well, you don't need to do that. I can show you exactly where it's leaking. Well, that's what they authorized. So I had to wait for the mechanic to show up. When he gets there, he does the pressure test. I'm like, well, I can show you where it is. He's like, I know, I have to do this. He does it. He says, yeah, well, sure enough, it's leaking out of those little hoses that they should have replaced when they did your water pump. I said, well, that's kind of what I thought. And I said, obviously, if they didn't replace them and just left it attached and jiggled that pipe around, well, then the hose clamps would cut into the hose and cause the problem. He's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. So, good news being, TA had to eat that because the shop in Joplin didn't do everything they were supposed to do. Of course, I had to spend $100 in coolant just to get up there. You know. Okay, but I got there. They got it fixed. I bought 2 more gallons because, you know, whenever you have to because when you do anything with coolant, you got to flush the whole system out and then refill it. And when you do that, then it's going to settle. There's going to get air in there, and you know you're going to have to add top it off later. So anyway, I did all that. I went ahead and fueled up last night again. I not filled up all the way, but added some fuel because now it had to go backwards to do that. And then topped off the coolant and let the engine run for a while, and then we got something going on up here. What is it? Oh, it looks like a tow truck. Somebody must have broke down. Looks like a classic car there, a blue one. That looks kind of cool. An old Pontiac. Good looking car. But anyway, so I decided just to stay there last night. But outside of having to pay, you know, which ended up being
For
about
half miles, keep right to US 18 truck.
$150 in coolant, at least TA did eat that repair because essentially they didn't do it right the first time. But cost me all that day. Thank God I'm on a run that runs over the weekend. I have extra time, so I can still make it work, which is good, and that's why I just stayed there at the Hat 6 last night. So, crazy. It's like, you know, can I make it a week without another freaking breakdown, another issue? Well, apparently not. But, okay, got it fixed. I wasn't broken down on the side of the road. Try to think of all the positive things. But, gosh, there comes a point where you're like, come on, give me a freaking break here. So now we're rolling. We're heading almost down to Hot Springs, where I'm going to stop here and take a quick break coming up. And of course, I have another issue. I don't know if you can see, I have to keep reaching down with my left hand and pumping the air up on my seat. The airbag on my seat, which keeps it elevated, has now worn out, and so I'm constantly dropping as I'm driving. So I'm down sitting on the floor. I have to keep pumping the damn thing back up. So now I gotta get a new seat. Love being on that consumer treadmill, boy. When will it end?
Truck.
So, yeah, now I gotta get a new seat. Yeah, because this one, yeah, granted, it's about 7 years old at this point. My passenger one, I had swapped him out at one point because it had air issues, and it's not, but nobody sits on it, so that's why it's over there. But I ended up swapping that out when that one doesn't look good. So I called up to the Freightliner in Rapid City. They have two.
A quarter miles, turn right on Jensen Highway.
$980, something like that. It's a Floyd's. I do have an account with Floyd's, so at least I can put it on the account. That gives me about a month to figure out how the hell to pay for that. But, you know, can't be sitting on the floor all day driving down the road. If it's failing this much now, that airbag's gonna, obviously it's got a leak in it, and it's gonna completely fall apart. It's not like it's something I can easily get a part for. You know, I gotta keep driving. So for right now, I have to just keep pumping the damn thing up. So I'll buy it. I'm not gonna pay for them to install it. I can do that myself. It's 4 bolts down into the floor. It's kind of a pain in the arse to do, but we'll do that. So, all right. So here we are parked at the Loves in Kimball, South Dakota. Went ahead and splashed on a little bit of fuel here. It's still going to be cheaper in Wisconsin, so I just put on enough to get me to the TA in Hudson, Wisconsin. And then got parked, went in and grabbed a shower, hence the color of the shirt change. That was good. I was desperately needing a shower. And took Rusty out and all that, so then we started working on this video. Yeah, so did get the new seat put in. Had to pay them $400 to do it. That does not make Clutch Trucker happy, yeah. And the seat alone was $989. Boy, they just yeah, get us whenever they can, don't they? Anyway, but had to do it because the other one was failing, and I had to keep hitting that button every 10 seconds just to stay off the floor. A little ridiculous, which means it's going to fail completely real soon. So, you know, what are you going to do? Unfortunately, I had to spend the money on that. But $400, because I said to the guy, look, what, you think it's going to take 2 hours? to do this? He said, well, yeah, that's what we have here in the big chart where we screw over truck drivers. And, you know, I said, look, I swapped these out once myself at a rest area in Oregon, and I did both of them in an hour. So, you know, tell me, well, I oughta. Yeah, after he told me $400, I said, let me go out and see what I can do. And the problem is, you know, I knew I could do the bolts in the floor to take the main part of the seat out. When I swapped these before, there was a little bar in the back of both of these seats that I just undid, which has the straps going down to the floor attached to it, and the thing where you plug in your seat belt and all that. Well, since this is an entirely new seat, we had to take that completely off, and you know, you leave the straps down into the floor, but I used a star bit, which I wasn't sure I had. I looked around, actually I found one, but I tried and tried and tried. I couldn't get it undone. It was going to take power tools and you know, maybe even a cheater bar or something that I just didn't have at the time. So I had to suck it up and pay them the $400. I was thinking 200 maybe, okay, but 400 please, almost half the cost of the seat. But then I did see the guy struggle with the very bolt I was talking about. Took him about a half hour to get that off, so I'm like, well, at least I'm getting my money's worth. I'll show you that thing here. See, it's this one right here. It's got a star type of bit. I actually had that, but couldn't get it off on the other side. He was able to reuse the same one on this side. See, then the strap goes down to the floor, and of course then you have to have your plug-in for the seatbelt on this side. On the other side, he had to put in an entirely different bolt to make that work, because he stripped it trying to get that one out of there. So yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it myself, so I had to pay them to do it. But yep, we got the new seat in, baby. Okay, here's the new seat in place. This is Seats Inc. seat. Does not have a little skirt around it, but that's all right. They got it all installed real well. And so far, it seems pretty comfortable. So we'll just see. And I know some of you are going to say, well, why didn't you just swap out the seats? Well, I've already done that once. The other one, the Sears seats that came with this truck are a terrible design. All right, see, here's how the Sears seats, Sears seating, why it's such a bad design. Because you got, this is where they put all the things. This raises it up and down. This is the lumbars. They had it mounted right here, like this, from underneath. Well, anytime you slide in and out of your seat, you're pushing down on this, it pushes on this plastic thing and busts it off. I had broken it off on the driver's seat initially, and then I bought another replacement thing of these, another replacement bottom cushion, and then managed to bust that one off too. So then I swapped the passenger seat for the driver's seat so that I could still make the air and everything work. Let's see, it has to be held up with duct tape on this side. I have on this new seat cover on this passenger seat, well, that covers that up, so it doesn't look too bad. But that's why these Sears seats are not good. I was never impressed with them. It's a much better design. Look at this picture. All right, now look at this. See, right down there on the steel part of the frame, that's where the buttons are. Makes much more sense than the other Sears seating where it was on that plastic thing. So what I had to do on these Sears seats is I had to drop the air every time I was going to get in and out of the truck, so I didn't bust off the other one that was still intact on what was my driver's seat at the time. But see, you can see by that picture, it's a better design on these Seats Inc. seats, and I think they're a little bit better quality overall anyway. So if you do have to get a replacement seat for your truck, don't get the Sears seating, get the Seats Inc., or you can pay a whole lot more for one of those Bostrums. But God, they want $1,600, $2,000 for those. I just can't afford that. I am going to put my Duluth Trading Company bucket seat saver back on, because if I don't, this is what Rusty ruined the seat cushion. That's why I had to buy another seat cushion once on these original seats, is because if I don't have these seat covers on them, when I'm parked and going inside like at a ship or a receiver, I go in to take a shower or what have you, he gets up on my seat and does that. And this ultra leather stuff, which is not real leather, it's the fake leather, he can tear a hole in it, you know, so I gotta have the seat cover. So I'll be working on putting that on here, and I'll show you the results of that in just a few minutes. Well, it'll be like magically fast, like now. All right, here's my Duluth Trading Company fire hose bucket seat saver on my new seat from Seats Inc. You can see the name up there at the top, Duluth Trading Company. And this keeps Rusty from tearing into the new seat. What do you think? Oh, and now let's do the Ass-Wagons. First off, the idiot on the fuel line. All right, here at the Loves in Kimball, South Dakota, putting on some fuel. And look at this ass clown. Way back there, completely blocking this whole fuel lane. Nobody in front of him. Nobody in that fuel island. Nobody even in front there. Just being an asshole. All about me. All right, and second, lazy truck drivers just drive me insane. Maybe they don't know how to back up, or they're just too afraid to do it. I don't know. I never get it. But, you know, I learned. We've all had to learn. But there's always people who park around the curb where there's the no parking signs, even though there's plenty of spots. Okay, look at this guy right over there. I can zoom in. Oh, here we go. Okay. Parked along the curb there. At least he's driving a Coronado. But what's that right over there? Oh, that's one of those no parking signs. Yeah. Okay, granted, the curb is not painted red or yellow, but still, come on. Because why? Look. Empty spots. Here's one right across from me. And there's a whole bunch on that back row. Lazy truckers. Makes me violent. Oh, and did get to talk to my England cabbie, Chris Kelly, last night on the WhatsApp. That's one great thing about technology, is I can talk to him in England on kind of like a FaceTime thing, video call, and it's free on that WhatsApp. So I mean, he's in England, and I was in Evansville, Wyoming last night. Here's a couple of pics. Yep, he said, okay, if you're going to put that one in there, you got to put this other one in there. So there you go. All right, so that's Chris Kelly, the cabbie from England. He found me from a few years ago when my friend John Branch did that article about me in the beginning of the whole pandemic for the New York Times. And so he stumbled across my channel, and he's been a good friend of mine ever since. We talk pretty regularly. Pretty cool. Well, thank God I had the whole weekend to do this load, because I'm going to be doing this one again next Wednesday, the one from Glen Rock over to Rothschild, Wisconsin, but it picks up Wednesday and then delivers on Friday morning, so that one's going to be a tight one. But this one, thank God I had the extra time within the coolant issues and having to deal with all that on Friday, and then having to deal with the seat today. At least I'm still able to make it with no problem. I have about an 8-hour drive tomorrow to make it from here in Kimball, South Dakota, over to, I'm going to stay at the Quick Trip, or as Elliot likes to say, K-Wick Trip, in Abbotsford, Wisconsin, tomorrow night. And then I'll deliver Monday morning there in Rothschild this load of lignite. Then I'll drive back over into Minnesota, down to Northfield, and I'll pick up that cereal load again like I did last week, going to Cheyenne. And of course, then I pick up the lignite load again on Wednesday in Glen Rock, coming back this way for a delivery on Friday the 23rd. So I'm booked up basically through next Friday. Then I have to find a couple of loads to keep me busy and then get me home around Thursday, because my daughter and I are going to be taking a trip to Laughlin, Nevada, kind of a celebratory graduation thing for her. And we've been trying to do a little trip together, a father and daughter thing, for a long time. And this free one came up through Caesars Rewards. Free flight, free hotel. Of course, they just want you to lose all your money at the casino. We'll try to lose as little as possible. What do you think? Well, thanks for tuning in for that one. Yeah. When will this breakdown kind of repair chain end? Kind of ridiculous. Thanks for tuning in. As always, please subscribe. Please like and comment. I get your comments as soon as I can. Sometimes takes a few days because I'm dealing with coolant things. And also because I'm a working truck driver. Clutch Trucker on Instagram, Clutch Trucker on Twitter, where I always put the rusty stuff. Put a couple of pics up there last night. Don't forget to ring that bell for notifications so you know when the new videos come out. And as always, sniff that magic YouTube fairy dust. Clutch and Rusty, out. I'm not an actor. I'm a movie star. Okay, we got the brand new bag of bacon strips tonight. All right, Rusty, come down here. We start down here. There you go. Oh yes, all over it. Gotta make you work for it just a little bit, right? Come on. You don't have too much of a job here on this truck other than keeping me company and barking at all the riffraff out there. All right, here's your other one. Oh yes, yum, yum, yum. Oh, all over it, baby. Yep, because he's a bacon strip dog. He's a bacon strip dog. Sometimes he eats too fast and he starts to cough, but he's a bacon strip dog. It's a beautiful thing, Rusty. Ah, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, you almost got it? All right, there's a couple crumbs down there. Oh, get those crumbs. I see them right there. There's one more. Oh, see, there's the cough. All right. See, he does it again. You ate him too fast. Just like I have in the song. There's some right there, Rusty. All right. Get that happy dog look. Up here. Rusty. Hello. Hey. You got him, buddy.